This video will create a body rig with Kangaroo Builder. We'll start by specifying the model and then laying out all the guide joints, which are called blueprints in Kangaroo Builder. And we'll do skinning, and we also add some poses using the pose editor. And then we'll assign some motion capture to see how the rig performs. For doing the skin weights, we are using the skinning tools from Kangaroo, but you can use any other tools for that. There's also documentation at kangaroobuilder.com, which is actually the main resource. This video is just an overview of how Kangaroo works. And actually, as you watch through the video, you'll see the chapter name at the top right corner. You can use that to look up things at kangaroobuilder.com website. If you don't have Kangaroo Builder installed yet, check the Getting Started page on kangaroobuilder.com. There's a few manual steps you have to do, but the good thing is you just have to do that once and then you are ready to start. Now, if anything is not clear or if you are getting stuck anywhere, feel free to either write in the comments below or use the Kangaroo Builder forum. You are more likely to get a faster response on the forum than in the YouTube comments. So we start by going to the templates and base human on the server. And then we go to export new and we put in the project and we type a name for our character. I'm having the copy model unchecked, then create. Okay, so now I have new character Nora and I'm going to go put in the model. So I go to export model and then Explorer latest and I copy the model in here. And, and then the first line should already work. Yeah, so it's importing the model. So now the next thing is the puppet tool. I'll just import the blueprint skeleton. And first we want to just delete everything that we don't need. So for example, you can see she doesn't have toes. So we can delete the toes. Now we also have to delete it here. Always click the save button here. And then we also want to delete a few other things because we are not doing the face. We are only doing the body. So the ears we delete. We'll keep the eyes. But then we have, we'll delete nose and teeth. We delete that too and the tongue. And then we have to delete them here too. So I'm going to look for them. So tongue. Okay. So now we can place the blueprint with the blueprint grid. Now, when you're placing the blueprint grid, you can get this done faster if you pay attention to the shape of the controls. So, for example, the cross controls or locator shape controls, you should always do them first. So this one is the top spine control, but it's moving a few other limbs with it. And then the box controls underneath, they are then only moving in here just the spine without the other stuff. And that goes for the fingers also. You've got all these controls, these locator shape controls outside. They're also moving the inner ones, and then you move the box controls next, and then these ones. And then also don't forget to do the pole vectors. Now placing this is just gonna take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna fast forward. Okay, so now I finished placing the blueprint grid. So the next thing is I'm gonna export the blueprint grid with the extract and export skeleton. So now the next thing is I wanna just go to the builder and build the puppet. So I'm gonna build it up until build puppet. So basically the import blueprints is the function that is importing what we just exported. So we have the puppet. Now there's a lot of other stuff that we don't need. Let's delete the muscle. So this is the muscle joint. So I'm going to delete them here, to muscle joints, and also in the Maya import folder. I want to delete them also. We don't need this user. And at this point, disable a few more things that we also don't need, which is the game skeleton. We're not going to build a game skeleton in this video. And we do need the human IK skeleton later, but for now, I'm just gonna turn it off. And let's read it again. Okay, so the muscle joints are not in here anymore. Now the next thing is shaping the controls. And shaping them is really just moving around the CVs so they fit nicely with the body. But there is a way to speed this up. If you copy from a character that has a similar proportion, then you could just run until they load control shapes, and then you're going to get the shapes from the previous characters where you copied from. So if they're in a similar size, like in this case, then you have a better starting point. So in here, the spine controls are a little bit too big now. So you just make them smaller, and maybe we'll adjust the arm FK a bit. Then you go to mirror. So I place them all on the left side, and to get them to the right side, you just do mirror, and then mirror all. So this mirror them, and then you export them. Okay. So now I exported the controls. I want to build the whole character to see if everything is good. Before I build everything, very often I'm just gonna hold the scene just to make sure that I'm not I didn't forget to export anything, and then I'm gonna run all it. Okay, that's all good. So now we are ready to skin the character, and so we get a first pass skinning with the plane skinner, which you find on the segment, and then you go to create, and then you do create for all joints, and that creates a plane for each joint. And now we have to shape them, not all of them, but some of them. And the most important one that I always start with is the clavicle. So basically with the clavicle one, I'm just gonna define the area that the clavicle is cutting out. Uh, I moved a few things around here. I kind of destroyed them now, but you can just do with the reset. Yeah. And then now the upper arm one, just make sure they are like facing this orientation. These ones are all fine. Now the fingers. On the finger, you have to always make sure that the middle ones they are running in between the fingers. This is not always possible, and whenever that is not possible, you just have to adjust the skinning after because what we are doing here is just the first pass. Now, if you see here, the plane is oriented a bit weird, then you can go back to the blueprints. So if this is oriented weird, that means that the blueprints are oriented strange. But this seems okay. It's not too bad. Now the another important one is the head, because the head is also in the top hierarchy. Now before using this plane skinner, it would be very recommended to read through the documentation of the plane skinner to see how it works, like how the logic of those planes are behaving. Now, the other important one is the upper leg. So that's the one that we have to place every time. And for the upper leg, we just have to make sure that it cuts out the upper leg from the top. Okay, that seems to be okay. And the last one is this one. Also very easy, just make that follow the orientation of the foot. Because by default, it's something like this, but it should be like like this. Okay, that's pretty good on the left side now. So to mirror them on the right side, we just use the mirror tool. And then we just do mirror all planes. Yes, and now we have it on the right side. So now we can see how it works. So let's select all the meshes and go to skin cluster and select it for this all planes. I usually hold the scene before I do that. So now we can watch if it's doing the right thing. Sometimes you see here how he's cutting the vertices, and sometimes if something goes wrong, you can see it here. So I always watch him, especially at the first times, and it seems like pretty clean. Sometimes when he's cutting out the top, you see he's taking some vertices at the bottom, and then you know that you have to adjust the planes. But in this case, it seems pretty decent. So we still apply it around to see how it works, but I have a good feeling about this one. So we've got the round body. We can use that that is coming from the base human, and let's see how it looks. It's pretty good for a third path. I'm not seeing any red flags here. The fingers are probably not so good. Yeah, you can see the fingers didn't do that well, but we can fix those easily. That's easy to fix. Okay, well, let's export what we have. So the first thing, we'll clean up the fingers. Yeah, you can see it's bleeding over here. So I'm just gonna find them to the pinky. The same for the middle finger. Okay. So for the other things, I'm gonna apply the run first. Okay. And I'm gonna start with the clavicle. Actually, with the upper arm, I'm gonna fix that first. Now you'll see a lot of the things I'm fixing here. I'm just using the smooth tool, but being careful about it. So whenever you use the smooth tool, don't make the mistake to smooth too much. So if you do it controlled and only a little bit, that's the best thing. Now, when it comes to up arm and clavicle, we'll just do the best we can. But to get it looking really smooth, we'll have to do poses. Okay, so it's intersecting here, but we'll fix that soon very easily. Um, let's do the clavicle next. Yeah, this one here. So here I can get things much better by just smoothing with a few iterations. Now you might have noticed that the Kangaroo tools have a color feedback on the skin cluster now. It can help in many cases. Most of the time, I prefer to turn it off just because this way I can focus on the shape better. And honestly, if I always select and run things on the selection, I kind of know my weights anyway. So color feedback is maybe more useful when you're actually using a brush. Okay, so now let's fix these intersections. And we do that with the transfer tool. Okay. So now it's not intersecting anymore on the left side. So we just mirror that on the right, onto the right side. And we are happy with the clavicle. Now the next thing I want to look at is the elbow. And the first thing I'm going to do is to make this a little bit sharper. I'm going to add the blend joint. Okay. So I want it to poke out a bit more. Now for that, I can move this So the blend joint has a few attributes here, and I can do the translate on up, yeah, because up is activated. So I can move that out a bit. I can clean that up with a pose later. For now, we just want to make this one a little bit smoother. So now it's not crashing so quickly. So we can pick that easier with the pose from this stage. But one more thing we need to do, because we changed the values here, we need to save that too. And this is happening with the limb blend joints. So it needs to be in the default setting, but there's a button for that. So we click default others, and then well we mirror it first, so it's on the other side too. And then if you click fill all values, then it just fill that attribute. You can see those values. The next thing I'm gonna do is pants. Because this one we need to fix. So we do that with the transfer tool again. Actually, before that, let's mirror it real quick. And then we can select the vertices to transfer. Okay, so that's working better. We are also going to do a pose for that. Okay, so now I'm still gonna spend maybe 30 minutes on the other limbs, such as the knees, but the workflow is gonna be pretty much the same. So I'm gonna jump forward in the video. Okay, so here we have skinned everything, and now we want to export the weights. And now it's also a good time to rebuild everything and publish it for the first time. So I'm gonna hold it before rebuilding just to make sure I didn't forget to export anything. And then I'm gonna run everything. Okay. And then I'm gonna do publish. And now we are ready to do the poses. Now, if we copy from the base human, then we already have a lot of pose interpolator set by default, which is here. And so if we open the pose editor, then we're gonna see all these default interpolators here, which is going to speed up a lot. So let's start by the with the elbow, for example. So I'm just gonna drag the forward pose into the targets, and then you can just sculpt the shape. So first you add the mesh here, and then you click the edit button, and now you can just move around the vertices. And you can even use the sculpting tools. Now, another useful tool is everything that you find under the tools button. For example, the smooth vertices, but for that you have to turn off the edit button, and that smooths vertex selection. which is many times easier. Now, smoothing also works with a geometry tool, which is the smooth vertices here. So you have a few more options on that. And then another thing you can do is play around with the timing. So for example, instead of ease in, you can have linear or ease out, but usually the ease in is the best. And you can also say you want it to start later. So instead of at the beginning, start at -25. Now it starts later. Now mirroring this to the right side is very easy. So first we just have to set the mirror table, which is vertex positions in this case. And then we just right click on this, mirror from selected target, and combination and flip meshes. And then we have it mirrored. So now sculpting all the other poses is gonna be pretty much the same. The only difference is that they have some limbs have different interpolator. So you've got like the Maya pose or the cone. Um, but the sculpting is gonna be pretty much the same. So now one limb that we want to look at more in detail is the up leg forward one. So basically the shorts. They're crashing quite a bit and the shape is also not very nice. So I'm gonna start again by dragging in the pose. This time I'm also gonna do it with the right side at the same time because we kind of have to sculpt the whole thing in one. Okay, so then I'm gonna start shaping. There's a few things I want to do. I just want to make this a nicer shape in general. And there's a lot of I have to do here for the crashing. Now this is going to take me a while. And because of that, I'm just gonna jump forward in the video. Okay, so here you can see that I sculpted the left side. So the shape is a little bit better. On the right side, it's still the same as before. I also pushed the skin a little bit down. Now there's one issue now because I sculpted it on both legs up. Now if I move the other leg down, then you're gonna have issues here. So that means that when we have shapes that are closer to the symmetry line, where basically the left side is and the right side they are overlapping, then we need a bit of a different approach when it comes to mirroring. But we have some good tools for that. So basically, we just do a right click on the left side, and then instead of mirror from selected target, we do mirror ball. And then we do pose combination and mirror left to right and split. So if I do that, it's going to ask me for a split radius. I'm going to explain in a minute what that means. Okay, I need to, okay, I didn't set the mirror flags on the shorts. I didn't set the mirror table. Okay, so now I can do mirror both and mirror left and right and split. Okay, so now it's mirrored to the right side. And they also work on their own. Now, what is the split radius? The split radius is basically the area of where it's blending. So if you remember, I took a split radius of 5. So you can, if you put a locator in the middle, Then you go translation X5. Then you can see like this is the amount of the split radius. Now we want to set up one more thing on the poses, which is the shoes. Yeah, they are crashing quite a bit and they don't work that well. But for that one, we want to create custom controls and we want to add the poses onto the controls. So that means we have to create poses first in the Puppet tool. But before that, we have to export the poses so we can rebuild the character. So exporting the poses is very easy. You just click fill and export from scene. Yeah, and then you can just rebuild the character. Obviously with hold first. Okay, and we looks like we forgot to export some weights before. Now we're gonna set up backside and front side a little bit different, just so we see different types of setup. So for the back foot, we're just gonna create a normal simple control. So we're just gonna drag a single transform onto the leg. Gonna call it left shoe back, and the attacher we set to the lower twist three. So basically, it's following the lower leg. And then on the blueprints, create a missing one. Okay. Um, let's mirror them also before we create the blueprint rig. Okay, so got them for both sides, and let's export them. Okay, so here we have the backside. Is it following? Yeah, that's good. It's following the leg. Okay, so now let's add them to the skin cluster. By the way, I also want to set the color index to 1. So it's gonna, next time it's gonna have a more secondary color. Okay, let's skin it. Okay, so basically now we have control that we can move around with the poses. Okay, now let's use the pose editor on that. Okay, so instead of doing anything here, we use the control section. So we do, having the control selected, we do add activate. So the control and this target need to be selected. And then you can, yeah, so now it's moving up. Yeah. There's still, we can adjust the scaling a bit here. Okay. And then when it moves down or when it moves forward, we're gonna also correct. create a pose. It's just creating those pose locators that I can move. Okay, and that looks much better. Okay, and then mirroring, which we don't have to select any control. We just do pose combinations and all controls. Yeah, and the right side is also. We need to mirror the skinning. Yeah, it's okay. Now this look is looking good, and we're gonna export the poses. So for the front side of the pose of the foot, we also gonna set up a pose, but we're gonna set up a pose on a puppet tweaker. So that's why we are now doing puppet tweakers. And the puppet tweakers, they are limbs here. So I'm gonna do shoe front. I'm gonna make this not follow the leg. I'm gonna make this follow the shoe geometry. Okay, so now it's following the skin cluster of the shoe geometry. And because it's a puppet tweaker, I have to do pose ref join as on. And let's mirror this. Yeah, I didn't save the skin cluster, so I'm gonna export it now. Okay, now let's place the blueprint. Okay, I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna also make sure that the control color is better. You're gonna see very soon what that means. Okay, so now this control, you can see it's moving with the shoe, and that is because it's just following the skin cluster of what the shoe is doing. So now we want to make this control also adjust the shoe. But the problem is you cannot just create it. You cannot just add it to the skin cluster because that would give you a cycle. So we create a new a skin cluster, a skin cluster on top. So we're just gonna select the shoe and click the skin button and say post. So tweaker skin. Okay, so now we have this tweaker skin cluster, which only has a zero joint. Zero joint is not doing anything. And I'm gonna add this joint in here. And then I'm gonna set the weights. Okay, so now it's still following, but on top I can move it around. So this is the puppet tweaker. Now let's not forget to mirror them. And for mirroring them, I have to also create it first. Okay, so now we can mirror them. Okay, so it's gonna ask me to add that joint. Yes. Yeah, and the same thing is happening on the other side. So now, well, first I have to export everything. Let's fit them a little bit nicer. Okay, then export the controls. Okay, So now we add the pose on the front one. So we already have that set up in here. Basically, when the angle goes forward, actually we just want to have this compensate a little bit. So just having the control selected, create add here. And then I'm going to just move around. Oh, I didn't select the right one. So this is the one that I need. Let me select this here, add. Okay, so now I have this new pose locator. Yeah, and I can move that. So for now, we just want to mirror the pose again. Yeah, and then fill and export. And we'll just run it, make sure it's all looking good when we build everything. Okay, that's good. Now it's a good time to publish the character again. Now let's put on some motion capture. So here I've just got a motion capture that I've downloaded from mixamod.com, and I want to put that onto our character. Now to do that, we have to build the character with the human IK skeleton on, but we also have to tell that function which is the T pose, because the motion capture needs a T pose, and this is the A pose. We just pose it into T pose. Now, on this function here, I'm going to do record T pose, and then you can see it just was recording those, and it's going to do that automatic. It's going to do the right side automatically. So I'm just going to build the whole thing with that human IK skeleton on. Okay, so you finished building. We don't need that. Now you can see that he created this one here. So it's basically a skeleton in T-pose, but we don't have to do anything directly with this. So we just have to open the pick UI, which is like the animation tool. I don't have to specify the character here because we don't have it in a namespace. So we only have that one character. And then we go to motion capture and connect body to human IK. Okay, so now it basically connected it to this one. And now we load in the motion capture. So we just drag the FBX file that we got from Mixamo into the scene. And then we have it here. So this one needs to be in a namespace. And having this selected, I'm going to do characterize selected mocap and connect to human IK skeleton. Set rotation to 0. Yes. Okay. Okay, now it's following it. So it looks like it's working. It's walking in high heels. That's the only thing that's a bit off, and she doesn't really have high heels. But apart from that, it seems like the rig is holding up. Now, one more thing I want to do is set some finger poses. So on the main arm global control, you can see that like curl, base curl, spread, and they are basically just coming from the base human. But on a new character, you might just have to adjust the poses a bit and look a little bit nicer. And so this is happening with the finger poses function. So you can go from the top to bottom. You just click pose. So now it poses all the finger controllers the way they are currently, and you can just make them a little bit nicer. Okay, and then you can do a fill curl. So this is basically just setting this attribute, and then you can go to the other ones. Some of them are really good. Some of them you have to adjust a little bit and fill. So you basically always pose, adjust, and then fill. The spread is seems okay. Yeah, the negative one I need to adjust. Usually animators like to keep the middle one still on the spread. I'm gonna run everything, then basically the finger poses get the new poses. Now, one last thing we want to look at is the display control up here. So we have body, we can turn that off, and we have body secondary, but we want to separate attributes for the new shoe controls that we added. And that is very easy actually. So you can see in the puppet tool, every limb has this display adder. And so we just need to set a different one for the shoe ones. So instead of body, we're just gonna call it costume. Save it and then run everything again. Okay, so now I have costume, and if you look at the shoes, it's gonna turn on and off the shoe controls.